Hey, this is Tony Ross for TonyTeach.com, and welcome to our second Google Hangout featuring Toon Boom Harmony. And just to let you know, we are doing this tutorial. We're doing character rigging. We're going to be using Harmony Essentials, which is the baby bear of the editions of Harmony that are available. There's Harmony Essentials, there is Harmony Advanced, and then Harmony Premium. So we are using the bottom of the line Harmony, but even that, there's a lot you can do with the program. On the Hangout along with me is my good friend, and I lost my words. Along with me is my good
You don't
friend,
know who we are?
my good friend, partner, and illustrator slash animator Christopher Cartledge. Um, and he's the one who actually designed the character we're using, and hopefully you guys have actually caught some of the behind the scenes where we went more into detail. We're not going to be showing you how we drew the character, not in this hangout. We're just going to be rigging her. But if you look in my YouTube channel, you can see some of the behind the scenes where we're talking and working on things. In addition to that is my other very good friend, Lamont Russ, aka Mayor Logan, who animates and draws circles around me. And he's going to be chiming in here and there, talking about some of the design things and what works and what doesn't work with respect to the character. So, that being said, I'm going to get ready to jump over to my program here. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. La 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 la. All right. Okay, I'm going to hide that real quick. Jump back there. Okay, let me do one last check. Make sure, have to do that traditional thing and make sure people can actually hear and or see us. Here too, can't for the life of me figure out how to join the call, but I can hear you. Okay? I'm not sure who said that. Ah, Mr. Grillo. Dude, my bad. Tony, I will get you on the next time we actually do a call. I'll make sure you're invited because actually I think the next one we're going to be doing is definitely how to transfer animating in Flash back, getting used to working in Toon Boom. Okay. So yeah, Tony, I didn't send you an invitation to join the panel, which is why you can't hear me, or why you can't join in. You should be able to hear and see me though. So let me jump back over here. Uh, First and foremost, I want to talk a few things about the interface. Toon Boom did an awesome job with the redesign of Harmony, and Harmony Essentials is going to be replacing Toon Boom Studio pretty much. I think Toon Boom Studio goes off their website in October. They'll still be supporting it, but I'm going to show a couple of things I'm doing for the interface here. This is the camera view, and occasionally I'm going to be zooming in and out. This is me just using the scroll wheel on my mouse, and the cool thing is if I move wherever I move my cursor, that's where the scroll wheel is going to be concentrating. So this is our little character, and this is everything was set up and drawn out by Chris. And what I'm going to be doing in this session is rigging all these pieces together and then animating it. So 9 times out of 10, I will either do a rough sketch or something or have a conversation with Chris and then say, okay, this is what I would like, or can we do this a little more like this? Now, the fun part, and then Chris, I'm going to call Chris out on this one. Fun part about working with Chris, his background is illustration. So there's a difference in getting a character ready for illustration versus animating. So sometimes things are a little bit busy, and I have to go, okay, let's pull back a little bit on that and simplify things. I don't have the earlier version of the arm. Lamont, can you hear me at all? This is the new version of the robot arm. The first one was a little bit.
Yeah, I was looking at that, and I can hear you, by the way.
Okay, cool. The first one was a little bit too busy, so we had to simplify what was going on in the arm, mainly because kind of like a logo, if you reduce this, everything still has to be able to work. And what was happening was the arm got extremely muddy. I think even now it's still a little bit muddy, but it may just be because we're on the gray background right now. But I think it works better than the last version. All right, so here is the camera view. I'm going to be also using the tools over here. Uh, if you're used to working in Flash or even Toon Boom Studio, whenever you're moving something around, you're automatically animating and things like that. In Harmony, you literally have an animate button that you have to turn on in order for things to work. So the entire, pretty much most of this call, this button is going to be turned off because I'm just going to be rigging and I don't want any keyframes set up. Okay, and of course we have the timeline here, and one of the things I am going to be doing throughout this training is I'm always going to be using quick keys. A lot of times people are asking me, well, where is it on the menu bar? How do you find this particular item on the menu bar? I sometimes know that, but time is money, especially in animation. Everyone needs it done like last week. So I have learned the quick keys and how to move around a lot. So for instance, even the moving up and down on the layers here, I can just press the letters H or J and move up and down layers with no problem. Um, let's see. What else do I need to talk about? So we have right now our little transform tool, and I'm just kind of clicking around on the different sections here. By default, everything has the exact same pivot point or the little registration point where everything would rotate from. And one of the first things we're going to do is set the pivot points for each one of these parts. Now, this is not traditional animation or hand-drawn animation. This is referred to as limited or cutout or even puppet animation. So think of this like like one of those little paper Halloween skeletons, like everything is a separate part. And what we're going to do is set it up so we can hinge the character. So I'm going to go ahead and start with that. And if you're just opening up Harmony, I have pretty much the default setting except for a couple of things. One, I have the advanced animation tools turned on, which is this little area right up top. And that's going to help me set my pivot points. If you don't have that, you would go to Windows, Toolbars, and come down to Advanced Animation. So to make this easy, or at least sort of easy, we're going to start off with just rigging the robot arm. In the process of designing the character, I think we'd first got our head done, and I was like, "Hey, Chris, have you done the body yet?" He goes, "No." I said, "Can she have a robot arm? I think that would be cool." And it's partially because I saw a trailer for the new Mad Max movie, and I saw the way Charlize Theron looked, and also I've seen lately the 3D printed arms that they've been giving some little kids, and I was like, that is too cool. So now I'm going to show you one quick thing about this particular arm. I'm also going to show you some keyboard shortcuts. I think I have my shortcuts turned on. Let's see. Okay. On your keyboard, you can move back and forward um, on your timeline. Like each one of these layers has what are referred to as drawing substitutions. Now, if you're in Flash, the only way to do this would be to have a graphic symbol, and you'd have different frames you could call on. Here in Toon Boom, these are just drawing substitutions. So the cool thing about this character, she has the ability to swap out what the little robotic hand is, what the hand would be. So I'm going to use my quick keys, the bracket keys right now, and I can scroll through which version of this I want. I'm just going to give her a normal hand for now. We'll just keep that there. All right, so that being said, I'm going to start rigging the character, and the first thing I have to do is change where the pivot point is. By default, I'm going to zoom out here for a second. You see this little blue circle, and that is the pivot point. And to change that, I'm going to go to my advanced animation, and I'll select the rotate tool. All right, and I'm going to click and move this right to where I want this to rotate. So think of it like I don't know, think of it like a thumbtack, and this hand is a piece of paper. So now if I go to my transform tool and try to rotate this, the hand is now working the way it should. Okay. Let's do Command Z, get that back to where it was. And next, I'll go to the little forearm here, place the pivot there. And I'm going to start using my my keyboard shortcuts. Move up and down the layer. If you notice, it starts to highlight things. The funny thing is, and I didn't think about this earlier, Chris, funny thing is the highlight color when you have something selected is kind of purple, which is going to be fun considering she wears purple. But the bicep or upper arm, I'm going to move the pivot there. And what I'm going to do now is pretty much go through each piece. Right now there's the right foot, so the pivot would be right at our ankle. And let's see, the leg, like all of these are labeled here. So I'm putting the pivots there. There's the upper leg. That actually needs to almost stay right where it is. Okay, now this is the fun part. She has awesome hair. And to make sure that she didn't end up having helmet hair that's constantly still, when we were designing this, we set it up so her hair is actually in several parts. And so this is the back of the hair, not back hair, but the back of her hairdo. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to come over here and I'm going to turn on the solo mode. And so I can see right where the back of the hair is, and I'll set my pivot point here. And I'll turn off the solo mode. And now we're at the torso. La 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 la. I think I'm going to leave the torso pivot point just there for now. All right, so now we're working on the other arm, a non-robotic arm. I'm going to speed this up just a little bit. Let's see, what time are not bad. Okay, now the head. Let's go to solo mode again. Now, the reason that, in case you're not familiar with cutout or limited animation, the reason that it was done, like right after, good grief, classic Bugs Bunny and all those cartoons were actually done in the theater, and then with the advent of television, they needed content and they needed it a lot quicker. So some of the pioneers of doing some beautiful cutout and limited stuff were like Hanna-Barbera. So you have things like Flintstones, and of course you've got Yogi Bear and all those other characters. And so there's little tricks you do to hide what you're working on. And so that's what we're doing here. So once we're done with this, hopefully, if it's animated well enough, you won't necessarily know that these are all these pieces that are put together. All right, the mouth. Okay, so I'll place that right on the mouth. I'm going to zoom in here. Looks good. By the way, the program here is 64-bit. If you have ever worked with Toon Boom Studio, let's see, check the pivot here, about right there. Maybe a little bit further up. If you've ever worked with Toon Boom Studio, the speed in that it handles, it's night and day. This is really nice how fast it moves. So we now have one of the hair bangs there. By the way, Lamont, once I finish rigging this, I would love to, not today, but I would love to send you the rigged file and see what you do as far as animating her.
Okay, that should be fun.
The squeak in the background is my daughter who's wanting to chime in. Okay, so there's the left leg. Okay, right at the hip. Lower leg, right at the kneecap. So this is just like those little paper skeletons for Halloween. The eyes. Now, the eyes, it's going to be interesting because I'm going to show you exactly how those are put together. We're going to end up adding some extra layers. Eyebrows, that's good. All right, now that is all of the pivot points are set. We are good. Now, so yeah, if I decide to, I don't know, click on the robot arm now, if I rotate it, yeah, it's still not going to do anything. So we're now going to go to the second part. And this is one of those, I'm not going to say anything negative about Flash. I would just simply say this particular method does not exist. At least not with this, not as efficient as it is here. So you will see what I'm talking about in a minute. We are going to parent the hand to the forearm and then parent the forearm and the hand to the upper arm. Okay, so in order to do that, I'm going to scroll all the way back down here, and we have the hand. And right in my layers, I'm going to simply click and push right under the robot lower arm. And if you notice, there's this little line that shows up. So if I let go of the mouse, oops, let's do that one more time. Come on. Thank you. So if I let go of the mouse, you now see this is kind of stair-stepped right under here. Now what that basically means is if I select the lower arm now and rotate it, the hand moves along with it. Okay? So I'm going to do the same thing for the upper arm. So I'll grab robot lower and I'll place this right under the upper. So if I select the upper arm, that's there. And I can still come in, select the lower arm, and rotate it, and then select the hand and rotate it. And I know what you might be thinking, but Tony, dude, if I gotta click off and then click on to this every time I want to move it, that's really not saving me much time. I hear you. So watch this. The deal is I can move up and down this hierarchy just by keyboard shortcuts. If I press the letter B, all of a sudden we have not just the hand, but the hand and the forearm. Press the letter B again, I have the entire rig there. To go down, I'll do Shift B, Shift B again, and now I can control the hand. By the way, and I'll show you this later, we're doing it again. So let's say if I've grabbed the entire arm, we have it here on one frame, and then maybe by the next frame, we'll do Shift B, rotate this out a little bit, Shift B again, rotate this out, and we're thinking, dude, she should have a different weapon at this point. So I still have my other keyboard shortcuts of the brackets. I can move and do drawing substitutions. And again, this is not animating. A drawing substitution is going to be just a little line, just the way these lines are here, right in the timeline. Okay, so that arm is rigged. So I'm going to collapse this. And the next thing I'll do, I'll select the other arm. So we have the hand left. We'll drag this right under lower. Looks good. Take the lower and drag this right under. Come on. Thank you. The upper arm there. So now the other arm is done. Speaking of when we were working on the design, one of the things we kept running into was just the size of her robot arm versus the other arm. And I initially was thinking of doing something like Hellboy, where the arm is a lot bigger, but we decided we're going to make it a little closer to the size of her arm made of flesh. Yay, my arm is going through my leg, but we'll fix that later. Okay, so we have both of our arms rigged. All right, so we'll collapse that. And sometimes I'm going to move these at least into the right position. Come here. There you go. All right, so the foot going to the lower. I'm evidently not. I'm being almost too careful. Okay, now this is a perfect little example of, hey, what the heck just happened? Don't know. Now, sometimes the computer or sometimes the software would do something weird like this, or you have to remember this is a document that's traveled back and forth between Chris and I. So at one point, I may have said something wrong, and the parameters or whatever. Anyway, none of that really matters. So I just parented this, and so we don't have it looking really weird. The only thing I need to do, because our animate button is not on right now, I just need to go ahead and grab this and just set it where it should be. Okay. Let's do the upper leg. Did we lose you? Nope, you're good. You are good. Whee! Shift B. Go down the hierarchy. Which, by the way, if you have ever worked in Flash and tried to move stuff around, especially if you're in the middle of a tween, now maybe everyone else has not had this issue. I know that when I've done it, Flash generally would have a fit. So, all right. Boom. You know, it's not a bad pose. I'm actually doing this just on the fly, but this is the other reason why I'm going to hand this to you one day long and go, dude, make her move. Set it to music. Okay. All right. Now where's my other one? Got that leg selected. Ah, there you are. Upper leg. Parent the lower. And parent the foot. So foot. Okay. Okay, how do we do that? Let me check one thing real quick. That was very weird. Pivot should have been there. Upper leg. There. Did I skip doing this or did the program forget it?
It's the program's fault.
Okay.
I think you may have forgot.
Okay, I was about to say because I've never seen it do that bad of a glitch. I think that was a human error. So okay, so let's try it again. So okay, that's good. And by the way, the one positive thing about that, and I think we even saw this the last time we did. Anytime I make an error and forget something, you get to see exactly my normal speed of doing this versus explaining to you every single thing that I'm doing. Now, let's see. We've got the arm. La 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 la. Okay, that's good. So let's grab my transform. Okay, let's adjust this. The arm left should be a little bit higher on our layers here. I'm going to make that pretty much to the forefront, so yay. So it doesn't go through her hip anymore. Okay, now we've got the robot arm, got the leg done, legs done, and both arms done. The next thing we got to do is the head and the mouth. Let's see. So, let's see what time we're on. By the way, you're going to see me press F16 a lot. It has absolutely nothing to do with the program. I have my menu hidden, so I don't know what time it is, so I check that often. Okay, so what we want to do is we want the hair, the eyes, the mouth, all of that parented to the head. Okay, so I'm going to grab the mouth, drag that straight under the head, and let's see, what else is there? The eyes and the eyebrows. I'm going to drag that under the head, and let's see. I'm going to leave the rest alone. The hair is going to be a different argument. Okay? Now, here's the fun part. On our layers, we have the head, which is parenting the brows, the eyes, and the mouth, as it should. But dude, what are we going to do now? Because she has no face anymore. Here's the cool part. One thing, if you notice, every time I move my cursor, this little red line shows up, and it lets me know what is active. So if I move my cursor up here, the camera is active. Now I have that set as a preference, so whenever my mouse enters, it does that, and that I go over in the download of this. But what I want to show you right now, the reason that is important, I'm going to select in my layers the eyebrows, the mouth, and the eyes. Move my cursor to the camera view, hold down my Option key, Alt on PC, and I'm going to press the down arrow on my keyboard once. And boom. That is moving something forward and backward on the z-axis, aka nudging. So we've nudged that just a little bit ahead. So even though the head is in front of this, as far as the layers are concerned, we've moved the eyebrows and everything forward. And just to show you what I mean by that, if I decide to rotate the arm now, okay, the eyes and everything are in front of that. So to fix that, I'm going to select the arm. And again, this is with the Animate button turned off. So I have the entire arm selected. I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'll hold down the Option key, Alt on PC, press the down arrow once. Okay, so now she works a little bit better. Looks cool. All right, so the next thing we have to do is we want to bring the hair, bang 1 and bang 2, also under the head. Both of those are selected. And what I want to do is move those forward. So we do Option, down, just one. And we've now just covered up the eyes. So I'm going to do, this time I'll do the eyes, brows and mouth. One more time, Option down. And again, I'll move the arm ahead one more time. Because each time we're nudging this, it's kind of playing a little bit of a race here. All right. Okay, good. So now we have the hair doing exactly what we want. And by the way, Lamont and I, and actually even Chris, we've been watching lately Star versus the Forces of Evil. It's on Disney XD, and I kind of got the idea from how to do with mixing the hair and the eyes from that series. It's pretty cool. Which, by the way, the pilot, they just put that back on demand now, so it's kind of awesome. All
Tony,
right.
is the nudging, is that keyable? Like for
Yes,
instance, if you want, yeah.
you can definitely animate it. There's a trick I did where I took a ping of 3 glass bottles. It was just a flat ping, so this object can go in front of the ping and then go behind it. Um, Same way as doing like a planet rotation or a moon going around a planet. You can have something go backward and forward, and you're just using 2 layers. So you can animate that. So it's the other reason I have to make sure the animate button is turned off. If you're ever nudging and you see any type of keyframes, like everything I've done here, you see no little squares here. There's no keyframe. So we're not animating it, we're just setting everything up. Good question. All right, now,
Thanks.
I don't even know what that was. Okay, so the hair front. Oh yeah, we got to parent that as well. Let's get that back under the head. My friend has this haircut. So let's see if I can do this. Okay, that's good. Make sure you were all the way to the bottom. Okay, so let's see if I can do this in one little swoop. Move down. Okay, I think I actually did. That was pretty cool. I think I did it right. All right. So now the other ones have been moved forward so many times that me even nudging the hair once didn't bother anything else, because the eyes and mouth, for instance, have been nudged several times, and definitely so has the arm. Reminds me of like a pose from a Beyonce video, but that's another story. Okay, so we have that set up. The hair back has to also be under the head. Before I do that, I'm going to zoom in. Um, the one thing that's wrong with this model, and I forgot initially when we were working on this, her torso. I'm going to solo this for a minute. Her torso actually has the neck with it, and technically the neck should be a separate part. That being said, you can see the neck right here just a little bit, but we don't have the hair, the back of the hair, parented with the head. So I'm going to move this up so it's part of the head. Now, if you look, it cut off where the neck is. Now, here's the cool part. We have been nudging things forward most of the time. I'm going to nudge something backwards. So it's the exact opposite. Let's hold on our Option key and press the up button instead of the down button. Okay, so now the back of her hair actually even moved, if you notice, behind the robot arm, which is kind of translucent. Okay, let's see, where are we? We're doing pretty good. I'm going to, let's see, save a new version. Okay, that was scary. Um, let's see. Now I'm saving a new version because one, you should save often. I've been going about 30 minutes and haven't saved. The only crash issues I have found in this program so far is if you're telling it to remember too many things that you've done. Save often. Eventually becomes a nervous twitch where you just do Command S or Control S on PC. And also you will work. It's really good to work in different versions. And what's cool is it can now do save as a new version. So we literally have the scene is called Tony Girl 2 version Tony Girl Hangout start 2. So I can do another one and it'll be start 3, and that way we have all of the work saved. Okay, so we have this bottom one. I think that's from the original sketch. I'm going to actually delete that layer. Okay, so we have the arm, leg, the head, which has everything parented to it. So now if I rotate the head, yes, 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 that works. Okay, not bad. Command Z. Torso. The way I was taught, and I follow this pretty closely. I do not attach the arms or the legs to the torso. I think it gives me a little more freedom. The other thing, as far as once we started animating, I don't think I'm going to use it today, but Chris was nice enough. We were chatting last night, and he came in and gave her a couple of other body shapes there. So that's curved, and then there's one that's straight. So, and again, I'm just using my bracket keys, moving back and forth to that. So we have that done. And now, I didn't think initially we were going to have time enough to do this, but we do. So I want to show you, typically, if you've ever seen any of my older tutorials, I would typically go in, see if I can do this, make a new drawing layer, and I would call this, I don't know, I'm going to call this Eyes Tony. This is my old school. Let's do add and close. Typically, I would just grab, I would kind of draw out the eyes and just have like several frames. Maybe the next one would be like this, and then the final one would be the eye closed. And that's the way I would work. So if I was going to do the eye looking a different direction, I would have to draw another drawing and then have it like that. That is the way that I used to do things, and I'm saying used to because started studying this and found a much more efficient way of doing this. And that's what I want to show you right now. A little bit of confusion. Inside of Toon Boom, there is a cutter tool. Now, a cutter tool is pretty awesome because the cutter tool, I can come in and say, oh, I just need this square here. So I can do quick gestures and get rid of what I don't need. That's great. But what we're about to use is not the cutter tool. We are going to use the cutter effect. And that is basically a mask. And I've said this, I think it's a little bit confusing, but you know what? I'll get over it. So as long as you understand one is a tool, one is an effect, you should know what's going on. So what I want to do next is I'm going to expand the head a little bit here. Let's grab our select tool. And I want to grab the eye. I'm going to cut this from the eyes layer. I'm going to add a new layer. And I'm going to call this right eye. Add and close. And I'm going to paste it. By the way, if you've ever worked in Flash and copied something and then pasted it, and Flash decided to paste it wherever it felt like, this is something a little different. It will paste it exactly where I had it. Not that I need it right here, but it's kind of nice to know. All right, so what I want to do now, I have this on its own layer. Let's go to my pivot, adjust this, and of course this is going to go right to the center. Let's zoom in here. Whee! Again, I am loving how fast I can zoom in. And the program's not having a fit. All right, so that is set. And what I want to do now, grab my transform. I'm going to move this into place. And we have no idea where it is. Why is that? Because everything has been nudged forward. So our job now is I'm going to hold down our Option key and press the down arrow once. Okay, you can see it coming forward. Let's do it again. Boom. And now it's in front of what it needs to be in front of. Let me just double check. The arm. Yay. I didn't know if I had done that right, but yes. That is one freaky looking chick. Okay, so we've got the right eye. Now, we're going to duplicate this layer. I'm going to right click, go to duplicate selected layer, and instead of right eye, it's going to be the left eye. All right, so I'm going to move this one over, and quite frankly, I am probably going to scale this one. Hold on my shift key. That's the funny thing. I keep doing that. If you notice, the reflection is flipped. Command Z. Do this very carefully. About right there. Okay, so I'm going to have her looking. So this should be more in the corner. Stop it. That's what zooming is for, Tony. Okay. Okay. So we have our chameleon-looking little character here. Let's go ahead and save. So we have the right eye and the left eye. I'm going to hide those guys for a minute. Go to the eyes layer, zoom in here, go to my select tool, and what I need to do, I need to make sure that I'm going to use the whites of the eyes as a mask. So in order to do that, I'm going to select the two different parts. Now, if you're wondering, why are these in two different parts? When this was initially drawn, you can actually see where the circles were. And I started playing around with it again. Chris and I usually play like a little ping pong or a tennis match. So he'll send me a file. I'll start tweaking something, and he goes, "Oh, do you want that?" I was like, "Yeah, that would be cool." So that's why when you looked at the start where the file started, the eyeball was off on the corner, and we just had the whites here. So I'm going to go ahead and copy these. Let's do Command C, and I want to make a new layer, new drawing layer actually, and this is going to be the eye mask. I'm not calling it the eye whites or anything like that, and you'll understand why in a minute. So again, I'm going to go ahead and paste Command V. And again, look, I didn't have to do a paste special or anything like that. Everything pasted exactly where I needed it to be, which is good. Okay, so now I'm going to go in and turn those other eyes back on. And let's set up our cutter. It used to be to do, I think in Toon Boom Studio, this was referred to as clipping. And then in Animate, it was referred to as setting up I think it was a mask layer. And of course, if you did this in Flash, it's a mask. Now, I am way in love with the new version of how they've done this with the new Harmony. This is freaking sweet. Toon Boom, if you're listening, awesome. I really like it. So that being said, I'm going to select the right eye. Was that a question? Okay. I'm going to select the right eye, go up here to the little plus sign, come down and say I want the effect. What effect? The cutter. So select this. Okay. So the right eye now has a cutter. All right. So what we want to do is set up our mask. In order to do this, we click this little plus sign, and it says, dude, here's the mat. Drop the layer you want right here. Well, what layer do we want? The eye mask. Boom. And you're looking at this and going, dude, that's kind of not what we need. We need that to be the reverse of that. Flash users, I don't know if Flash ever updated this. The mask is a cool tool. It's great, except for you don't have the ability to invert, at least last I checked. Maybe they've changed that over the years. Don't know. That being said, I can double click here, right on the star, and I get the layer properties for the cutter. Dude, how about this little invert box? Click. And close. So that eye is set. Okay. Now I'm going to collapse the right eye. I'll select the left eye. We're going to do the same. Add cutter. And we can use the exact same mask. Okay. And we'll double click here. And I could go in and actually give this the name and say this is the eye cutter or this is the left eye cutter, but I'm not going to do that right now. Let's go ahead and close. And so now she's looking the way she should. But we're not done. So we have the left eye and the right eye. Now I did these separate because I want the ability to move them individually. Mainly because, let's say if I select both of these and I move them over, I'm like, you know what, that didn't look right. So I can still come in and move the other one and line it up where I want it to be. But I need a little more control than that. So what I'm going to do is add a peg to control both the left and the right eye. Now, a peg, in traditional animation, you actually would attach something to a peg if you wanted it to, like, especially for background or if you wanted an object to move. So what I'm going to do now is come up here. I'm going to add a peg. It's this little P here. Let's double click. And I'm going to call this eyeball peg. Which, by the way, when you're working on stuff, try to make all your names make sense, because if you have to come back to it like months later, or if you have to pass it out to someone else, they should know where they're looking, and you always want to name your layers. So the peg is controlling just the right eye right now. So the same way we did our parenting, I can move this guy right up here, and now the peg controls both, and the pivot point for the peg is way down here, which we do not want, because, yeah, I don't want the eyes to rotate that way. Okay, so let's go get our rotate tool, move pivot point for the peg just about dead center there. All right, so that is done. So now I can move the eyes together, and if I need, I can still select each individual eye and move it. Okay. Now, are we going to make her blink today? No. Our little new character, she's going to be a recurring character at Tony Teach. We're going to be using her for a lot of tutorials. And I think the next time she shows up, we are going to be definitely doing a lot more with the head, making her talk, blink, and some other stuff. So stay tuned. Shameless plug, if you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe to the Tony Teach YouTube channel. And you'll see that's the thing that's actually, we keep a lot of things up to date, and you can always ask questions. We try to keep up with that and respond. All right, looks good. Save. Now that looks very, very busy. So let's collapse the head. Okay, so we now have all of our layers and set up in the hierarchy and everything like that. If I scrub my playhead though, there's not a lot going on there because we haven't expanded everything else. So let's do that. Actually, before we do, we have our entire body rigged, and what we want to do now is set up a master peg for the entire character. Excuse me a minute, let me get a drink of water. All right. So what I want to do, I have nothing selected right now. I'm going to go in and add another peg. And because I didn't have anything selected, I just dropped it on the bottom there. And we're going to call this the master peg. And I will go in and grab all of my layers and drag it straight under the peg. Lamont, curious. Now me, when I'm doing a master peg, where if you notice, always the default for the pivot point is dead center. I normally put my pivot for a master peg at the base. Where would you put it?
I usually put it at the base as well, but it almost always depends on what type of character it is. Because if it's something like it's like a snake type character where the body's like laying down, you want it in the center. Or if it's like another animal that's walking on four legs, you want that in the center. So, but for something like a human that's on two legs, you want that pivot at the bottom. But again, it's always depends on what type of character it is, and you want to have in mind how you want this character to move beforehand, before you even do all of this. So, it'd be pointless to put pivot in at the bottom of the character if the only thing that animates is at the top.
Very good points.
Yeah.
That's why I keep you
So
around.
yeah, so yeah, definitely. You always want to figure out. You want to go in with some sort of idea of how your character's going to move when it's all done.
Coolness.
Okay.
All right. Now, so we have that done. Now here's the cool part about the peg. So when we're working on this, we're calling this the master peg. That's a little bit not fair, because her name isn't Master. If you've ever followed me on any of my tutorials, I'm normally referring to any of the people that follow me as campers. I'll say, hey, campers, yada, yada, yada. Eventually, there will be Tony Teach camp counselors, but that's another story. Meanwhile, I would like to introduce you to our character. What is her name? Codename Camper. She is a bounty hunter, intergalactic bounty hunter. But anyway, this is a camper peg. Now, why did I do that? Eventually, um, and if I'd have had time enough to do it today, maybe we'll do it next time. But she's probably going to do a dynamic pose and end it with one of her blades pointed at someone. So the other person would actually have their own peg. So I don't know, Bob would have a peg. There'd be the Bob peg. There'd be the camper peg. And if there's other characters involved, each of them would have their own pegs. And again, it's one of those things of naming your layers and knowing where things are. All right, so the peg is done, but dude, we still have nothing really working here. All right, so here's the cool thing about a peg. I can select frame 60, and I'm going to extend my exposure. This is the same quick keys. Actually, all my quick keys are set up for Harmony's defaults. A lot of them are reminiscent of Flash. I will show you guys this one quick thing. Under Preferences, Shortcuts. They're set up with Toon Boom Harmony right now. You can switch them to Adobe Flash or Toon Boom Studio. I'm leaving mine at Toon Boom Harmony. So if you're wondering what all these shortcuts are that I'm using, they're all Toon Boom Harmony. Some of them have been borrowed from Flash, aka I'm going to extend the exposure. So I'll do F5, and yeah, extend it all the way out. Thank you. And if you're wondering, hey, where did the blade come from? I'll show you. So if we go down here, the closer we get, Chris drew in all the extra arms there, and you're thinking, well, dude, I don't want to animate that right now. It shouldn't actually be happening that way. And yeah, what the heck's wrong with her body? And her eyes are all weird. Okay, well, let's do this. Again, I'm not really animating anything, but what I can do right now is come down here to the torso. Let's go to my library. Let's see. Let's expand this so I can see. Thank you. Now, this confuses a lot of people, and this confused even me initially. Once you draw these, this is again like a graphic symbol in Flash, if you work with it. Once you draw these out, you can call on the frames whenever you need them. So I'm going to go here to frame 2. I'm going to use my bracket keys to go back to the one it should be. And frame 3, I'll go to the frame it should be. So now when I scroll through, torso is doing what it should do. Let's scroll all the way down to the robot hand. Let's see, that is drawing number 1. Let's see if I can do this several of these at the same time. I'm going to grab all of these frames, set it to 1. And you also set to 1. Okay, so now if I scroll, it's good. Now the only thing that's left is the eyebrows. Deep where the eyes go. Oh, yeah, they're in the head. All right, so go here, and we'll set those back to the way they were. All right, so now I'm scrubbing back and forth. Everything is good. What is up with that? Okay. Okay, so we have her set. Let's do save. 405. Now I know I actually gave you a pivot base. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we are going to animate our character. I tried doing this before and I had her going over about 36 frames, or actually over her movements over about 3 seconds, which technically for this character made her look like she was moving in water. So I'm just going to do a few poses here. And I'm going to start by just adjusting a few things. And I'm going to see if I can talk myself through this a little bit. So I'll do Shift B, go back down the hierarchy a little bit. Grab the other arm, I'm going to rotate this. Shift B, go down a little bit. Shift B again. All right, and we'll rotate this leg down. Shift B, move down the hierarchy. You know what? That leg should be actually higher. Let's move that up a little bit. All right. Zoom into the feet. Loving this zoom here. Shift B, go down. Shift B, go down again. Technically, that should be even higher. What did I do wrong? Let's see. If you're not used to it, there's this little almost Easter egg. The this has been in Toon Boom for years, but it follows your cursor. Okay. Okay, that's a little better. All right. So maybe what I'll do, let's rotate this a little bit back. Chris and I were talking just before this started, and if there's one thing that I forgot to request, um, is just having the feet so they actually bend, having another drawing substitution. Speaking of drawing substitutions, also that's how she would do her blink. It's also how her lip sync would work. You would have that one mouth layer, so you have all these different drawings that are there. The eyebrows, like how she could be angry, happy, yada yada yada. And once they're drawn, you can call on those at any given time. Okay, so I've got the starting pose that I'd like. I'm going to go ahead and insert a keyframe, F6, and now I'm going to turn on my Animate button. Now if you notice, when we're not animating, this is red. Turn on the Animate button, this is yellow. It's just a little note to let you know what's going on. Okay, so now what I want to do, I'm going to move forward a few frames here. I'm going to drop in another keyframe. This is where I was messing up before, F6, and messing up because I was I think she was moving a little bit too slow. So we'll see if I can get it done right this time. So I'm going to, press the letter B, move up the hierarchy a little bit. Let's see, breaking the joint, press the letter, let's do Shift B, move down. All right, and at the same time, let's move this arm back, Shift B, move down the hierarchy, and right now I have this automatically doing tweens, and Lamont, I know you're about to ask this question, so I'll tell you early. If you are thinking, dude, I want to do my own little tweens and everything like that, so you could literally come here and you can do a stop motion keyframe, just Command L, which means there's now going to be no interpolation there. So it goes from there to there. But that is not what I want, not for right now. All right. And let's say here in this keyframe, I'm also going to select the head. Maybe actually even in the very beginning, her head is like nod, just a little bit down. Okay, and let's zoom in. What leg? Oh, dude, what did I do to my legs? Okay, they're fine. But I said that looked weird. Um, could almost look like, Chris, we may need to do another line here when they get together. Because I thought for a second it actually messed up the z-axis on that.
That's like a design issue thing, and I handle that with some of my roomies characters. I make a darker version of the back leg, so
Ah,
you're able to tell the difference between the top leg and the bottom leg if you don't have any lines to outline the artwork.
you know what's sad? I just realized that she doesn't have outlines. I'm like, it's like, duh. Um, okay, so we're going from here. Goes there. I think her back leg is what I want to do something with. Shift B. And let's do B, go back up there, B again, rotate. Don't be afraid to point that toe. Yeah. Okay. Now, this is going to be not the prettiest thing, but quite frankly, this is probably where I would probably end up sending this to Lamont and going, dude, this is kind of what I want. And then Lamont would have to figure it out. I probably should just put a keyframe there, F6. All right, now, let's turn on our keyframe or onion skin, which the onion skin here is just like, oh, magnifique. Let's stretch you out just a little bit. Okay, the foot was right there. So I'm going to move this entire peg so it does what I need it to do. This leg is going to come forward, Shift B. I'm trying to remember, like, Shift B again. I'm trying to remember how I did the pose earlier, and we'll see if I get it right. This is perfect where the little bent foot could have come in. But for now, just have it come up there. And one of the interpolations it did that little dip, which I hate. La 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 la. Let's grab all of you. Mind you, I haven't put in a keyframe. I just grabbed the entire peg. I'm going to move it up. And it will put the keyframe there because I have Mr. Animate turned on. Okay, so by this final one here, I want to have her arm Swing out back, Shift B, swing further back. The other arm is going to go forward. Shift B again, bend a little bit further up. Shift B once more. And I think here is where I'm going to have her switch her hand. What do I want? Yeah, I think that'll work. Yeah. Do I want the other one? Yeah. Now, eventually, Lamont, I was actually even calling you out on this. Either you or Joe. Shout out to Joe Suggs, who is not on the call, I don't believe. Um, let's see. Eventually, I think I would like as she's moving, as the hand is moving, it wouldn't be this just a swap. You'd actually do drawing the in betweens there. In Essentials, you do not have the ability to morph, nor would I even want to try to morph this. I would want it hand drawn out, like where her hand would uh, pretty much maybe 2 or 3 frames where it would actually turn into like a dragon or something like that. Okay. Matter of fact, dude, duh, I just figured out the other reason I would want Lamont to work on this. Lamont, what belt are you currently?
What do you mean?
I was talking martial arts or kickboxing or whatever it is that you do.
Oh,
Line dancing, something.
one step away from a black belt.
Okay, cool. So you would actually, so in theory, you could actually go, yeah, it would make sense if she did blah blah blah. Okay. All right. I love the dragon. Um, oh, actually, that would be kind of cool. Yeah. All right. So save. So now if I play this has actually happened. Actually, this happened pretty quick. Let's see if I can do how this will look. Now, not bad, but of course you would do things like allowing her to settle in the pose. Uh, because we have gone in and done different things to her hair, technically. It's like, and mind you, I'm making sure I do this on the exact keyframes here. Technically, I can come up here. She's going. Everything. Technically, she should be going up here. She should have actually been going up just a little bit. And if she went up, her hair would be down. As she's coming down, her hair would be going up. Fun stuff. So I'm going to rotate her hair up. Take the bangs up a little bit. Dude, seriously? What is up with that? By the way, let's see if Toon Boom is going to forgive me for doing what I just did. Now, if you're wondering, let's say I just moved a pivot point mid animation, like it was here, and I'm going to move it here. But we've already got several frames that happening. Yeah, dear Toon Boom, I love you. If anyone is on watching this, if you've ever attempted to do that in Flash, and again, I haven't animated in Flash in a while. Maybe they fixed it, but normally moving a pivot point mid animation or mid a mid a tween, it wasn't having it. Okay, so our hair would come down here. We have to push that just a little bit further. And of course the back hair way back there. Let's do a key. And last but not least, drop one more key here, F6. Dang it. I could have sworn I set that pivot point. My fans are kicking on. Save. And let's have her settle into her pose a little more. Shift B. Nope, B. Back up the arm. There. Last but not least, I'm going to grab my transform tools. Actually, I have it set to lasso, which is kind of fun because I can grab all of the top here, temporarily move this pivot, rotate her forward just a little. Okay, I'm cheating because I have the onion skin turned on and that looked kind of cool. All right, so now if I play this, that jerk is bugging me, but that is the reason why we can come in and adjust some of the things at the end there. Let's move that key up a little bit further. All right, and last but not least, if you really wanted to do some things that are pretty cool, you can come here on keys as she comes down. Here, I can come forward and just kind of move her entire body. Move it back a little bit. No offense to anyone who's ever worked on it, but the animation I've done is very jerky. It almost reminds me of some of the poses on, what is that thing? The Total Drama series. I probably want it a little more natural, but in the Tony Teacher Big Hat realm, this is that part of the tennis match where I would send. We got it from Chris, and I'm working here. I might yell back to Chris and go, "Dude, if you can," I'd kick this to him and go, "Hey, add like the feet bent, and oh yeah, if we could get a few more hands to swap out here. There's only one hand for her non-robot hand." Um, and then we'd kick it over to Lamont and say, "Hey, I want her to go through this pose, and if you could do some really crazy morph, she's supposed to smack this guy with her robot hand, but I want it to be a tentacle instead of the regular hand." this is all this crazy stuff we would do back and forth. But you'd plan that out, and even do like little rough pencil tests and everything while you're working on it. But all in all, this is our character, codename Camper. Camille Purdy, aka Camper. Play on words. Lamont, are my poses hurting you?
No, they're fine.
Are you joking with me?
Well, I'm a perfectionist, so you know how I feel about it. But
I know how you
what
feel.
we needed to what we needed to learn how to rig something, it works for learning how to rig.
Cool. Oh, and by the way, the one thing that a lot of people always forget, I'm going to do something really, really, really dead wrong, just even temporarily. A lot of people, once you have this done, again, part of the thing where I was doing, where I had a rocking back and forth. Remember, these are vectors. This is all vector based, and don't think that everything is written in stone. So even if I want to do something really ridiculous, I could, but I'm not. Um, I think it'll be a lot of fun, especially once we start working with the hand. Chris, I like this pose, by the way.
Thank you.
You are welcome. But yeah, she's going to be pretty cool there.
So I had a question about libraries.
What about the library?
The hand has about, like 8 different God, what do you call them again?
They're drawing substitutions. They're basically
Yeah,
cell.
drawing substitution. So you don't have to have those drawing substitutions visible on the timeline to see them. Like in uh in Flash, because I use Flash a lot. Like you said, if it was a graphic symbol, I double click the graphic symbol, and once I'm inside, I can see every drawing that's on that that's on that timeline within that symbol.
Right.
How do
Um,
you go about using something like that in here versus, it's not on the timeline? So where do I go to view? Is there like a visual library over in there? Can I see this in the top right area for the drawing substitution box? Is that the only visual library that you have menu
yeah.
that comes up for it or something?
To the best of my knowledge, I mean, now the other part of that, like if you saw when we first started out, all of them were here. If I had used this as a symbol, which that's the other thing you need to understand. There is, if I had any symbols in this project, they would be here. I've done tweens, I've done all this animation. There's absolutely not a single symbol here. These are all drawings. Um, if we had a symbol, um, I could actually double click and go in and edit that way. But in the same way, if you're talking about for editing, how would I handle working on the hand? I could go in to my drawing mode. Actually, let me stop cheating here for a minute. In the drawing mode, like everything's here, I can still move back and forward using my bracket keys and work on what I need to work on. And if I want to see how it looks uh, with respect to the main animation, I've got the light table, but I can also, excuse me, I have the onion skin, but I can also show the light table and it will show me where the rest of the pieces were initially. Make sense? So there's not like there's
Yeah.
like I'm using a combination looking over here, um, and I can go backward and forward that way.
Yeah, I was asking because it's essential for it to be seamless for us to pick a item on the fly. And I know working with Flash, it comes down to the point to where I pick a drawing so many times that I've memorized what number that drawing is.
Well, yeah, I mean
And
that, and of course you can go in and you can give the drawing names, give the drawings names. Um, you definitely do that when you're working on your lip sync. But let's say this is pretty much, I like to refer to this as GI Joe with the Kung Fu grip. Um, so we could literally have uh, the tentacle. We could have it named tentacle, and if we went in, matter of fact, let's see if I can do this real quick. Um, Matter of fact, I don't want to do it here, but you could go in and have these labeled um, as hit tentacle, or you can do it saber and different stuff like that. So I could go in here, highlight that, and type in which one I wanted. For instance, like let's say if I don't know, we've done, I don't know, 5 episodes with Camper, and we're like, oh yeah, yeah, we've got I don't know, by this time she's got about 32 different weapons, but when it's like, oh, we need the grenade or we need the flamethrower, um, and so we just type it in real quick, and that's what it would swap to.
yeah, okay, cool. Because I can imagine that library is going to get pretty large over time.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those, you almost have to be kid. It's that whole kid in the candy store. I think it's one of the reasons why you have to um, talk about different things you want to do ahead of time. Um, speaking of, I think I don't want her. In theory, I don't think I want her to go over 15 different pieces that she can do, at least right now, because I think she uses it as a last resort. Back to the camera view. You know what? I think one of the things we did not do. I think we'll end this with her eyes moving over a little bit. And da, 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 da. That's a little bit. It's a little goofy. So yes, that is pretty much rigging. And yeah, we definitely gotta fix her neck, but that is how you can rig a character. Now I'm gonna jump back over here to da, la, 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 da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. Just that there's no inverse kinematic in essential. Working with node view seems to be harder than I thought. Without node view, uh, yes, it has its pros and cons. I'm reading the thing where it says Flash does not let you invert. Okay, cool. Someone wrote, I just noticed that there's no inverse kinematic in Essential. Working without node view seems to be harder than I thought. If you've gotten used to working, let's say, with Animate or Animate Pro, the suggestion they give you is to go with Harmony Advanced. The reason that I landed on Essentials is twofold. For the most part, a lot of people that follow me, I think I've gotten more attention from. I did a training for Infinite Skills, or O'Reilly Video. I did a training for them for Toon Boom Studio, and that has been probably more popular than any training I've actually done for Animate, and I haven't actually done any Harmony training. So I did Essentials. For me, yeah, the IK being absent was a bother. The other thing that's not there is the ability to morph. In Flash, you would refer to it as a shape tween. It is not in Harmony Essentials. It's in the step up, which is Harmony Advanced. Um, so yeah, it's kind of a if you're used to working with Animate or Animate Pro, definitely go Advanced. If you're used to working with Harmony, definitely go for the premium. And if you haven't seen already, I remember talking to Toon Boom. This is months ago before this even happened. That they were already talking about trying to figure out a pricing model that would work because that was the biggest complaint was, well, yeah, it's Toon Boom is better, but it's so expensive. It's so expensive, and so they came up with not only the way of doing what is that thing called? Not only the subscription model, but a if you want to buy it straight out, you can do that as well. Um, I do know one thing I did, and I did not show it here. Um, there is a really cool thing that you can do with the um, I keep mixing this up and saying clipping. The cutter effect. Um, once upon a time, we're talking probably a good, I don't know, was it 10 years ago? It was a while ago. You used to be able to use gradients in a mask in Flash, and it was awesome. And then it went away. It's like, and it was to the point of was like, did I dream that that was actually there, or was it actually there? Um, the cutter does allow you to use gradients. I was doing, I think I did a test, and I'll do a new one. I did a while ago, but basically doing the character No Face from wow, dude, why did I forget the name of that?
Spirited Away.
Thank you. The character No Face from Spirited Away, where he's got this body and it's partially transparent as it kind of gets toward the base of his feet. And that's my favorite thing to do because people understand, hey, how would you do that? So you could animate your characters and stuff like that and have parts that are you're just using the gradient. Lamont, I know you were working on fog at one point. I mean, animate the fog coming in, but you've got a gradient attached using the cutter mat, and it looks pretty cool. So yes,
Another thing about that node system that's in Toon Boom is it is definitely scary looking, especially for animators, because it's no pictures. So yeah, it can definitely be scary. But once you understand how it works, it becomes like really, really simple. It's just all based off a hierarchy and what's connected to. It's just like a visual flow chart. That's really all that it is. And
right.
I learned how to really, really get into it and use it looking on YouTube at Cubum Lee's channel. He
Yes,
does a
yes.
great job of explaining and going through step by step, like no shortcut, no sped up videos, step by step of how he uses um, that node based charts to basically manually do what you did with the cutter tool here, which is point and click and change. He did it manually, and doing it manually takes longer, but it helps you understand how the system works. But it also, if you want something to be completely custom, like
Right.
completely custom. I mean, like outlines and the eye colors to the pupils and the eyelids and all of that stuff. So that's how I learned how to use it. Just watch somebody else do it. He also lets you download his characters so you can play around with that and see how that works at the same time.
Cool. I'm gonna add a color card here real quick. Let's see, color card. Thank you. That was freaky. Where did your hand go? Let's see, robot. Oh, dude, I added a color card in the Did not mean to do that. Let's undo that real quick. Okay. Now, I'm going to add a color card. And basically what a color card is, it's the same way you would add in like a background color, like add a big rectangle of color in Flash. Because without that, this is just going to actually export with with an alpha background or transparent, which has its uses, but I don't want to do that right now. Okay. Matter of fact, I think I want to change this color. Yeah, that'll do for now. Okay. There are a couple of other things. Let's see. I can look at the render view of this right now because we're pretty much still working on this. But if I click this little guy over here, it'll show me what the final piece looks like. So she is really nice and clean line. For the most part, I think I have my aliasing turned off, so it's not looking like a bitmap anyway. I'm trying to think what else did they take out? There's something that maybe a lot of people, I don't know if anyone used or not, but I used to like the ability to select everything and then distribute it to layers. So if I drew all these pieces out on one layer and I could select them and then say distribute to layers, that's available in the higher versions, but not in Essentials. So that was interesting. I'll have to take a look at that. Not talking about it now, but one of the other things that they did was set up the game system for Unity exports, and that's on all three versions. There is a bone rigging tool that's still in Essentials, which I typically don't work with. I normally work with hinged characters. Uh, maybe we'll do something. Maybe we'll do something with her. Maybe with I don't know if the tentacle would work. Maybe we'll do a different character and just show how we would use the bones on the next one. So, if there are no other questions, I want to let everyone know what I basically started doing on these. I'm doing the Hangout here, and we're just pretty much doing it live, and then the replay is on my YouTube channel. If you want more detailed step-by-step of exactly what we did, as well as the source files, we're setting it up through Gumroad, and the way we're doing that is available. It is $9.95, and we're going to keep it that price for probably until we do the next Hangout, and then it'll go to its normal price of $15. But it's each one of these things that's actually done in HD without my guest, and it's me explaining every single step, showing shortcuts and more in depth of how we set up the interface and what we did and why we did it. So, and if you haven't seen it already, we did the last one we did was Make It Rain, and we did Animating Rain in Essentials without using particles. I think a lot of people saw that, and I take that as a large compliment that a lot of people thought we were using a particle system, but there is no particle system in Harmony Essentials. It's only in the advanced version. So, but by all means, please enjoy the tutorials. Tell your friends, and if you have suggestions for something else you'd like to see us train on, please share that as well. And I think what's coming up next is Toon Boom Harmony for Flash users, showing this is exactly what you would do in Flash, and this is how you would do the exact same thing, or go beyond that um, using Toon Boom Harmony. Chris, you have anything to add? You've been quiet.
I've been listening. Very good.
Coolness. But yeah, Lamont, I'm looking forward to seeing what you're going to do with this character. I would like to, matter of fact, I would like to, we'll set it up and maybe we'll do that as a live little set, a little bit of a tennis match, and let you take over the screen.
All right, I'll do a little practice playing around with and see what I can come up with. That should be interesting.
I think so. Yeah, that's like I could probably, like I said, actually I could probably add bones in her hair and do a little, have it be a little more flexible, not so much product in it. All right. So, hope everyone has enjoyed this. I said I've just got to edit out the beginning for this. If you are interested in getting the full words, getting the full version of this, I think I set it up at. I have all my controls turned on. TonyTeach.com/camper, I think. Yes. Um, I think there's about 10 not chapters, 10 lessons in all. It's just a little bit over an hour. So if you are interested in grabbing the puppet and just adjusting and animating things on your own, this is where you would find it. And hey, even if not, do me a huge favor. If you go here to, and again, just type in TonyTeach.com/camper, tweet about it, share it. Uh, Again, tell your friends. The more people that know what we do at Tony Teach, the lower we can keep prices. I would prefer to keep them low. I don't want to start charging a mint for instruction. And I definitely want to keep doing free tutorials. So anyway, remember, keep it simple, make it perfect. If you don't have time to make it perfect, rethink the idea. Have a good one.